President Biden putting the spotlight on reviving American manufacturing in the heartland. The president visiting Ohio for the groundbreaking of a new Intel computer chip plant just outside of Columbus. He emphasized that more plants like this one are coming nationwide. And Hannah Brand explains the legislation that made this type of plant a reality.
The legislation that made this happen is called the CHIPS Act, and it took a lot of back and forth to get it through Congress. But now that it's law, both parties are celebrating the economic benefits that it's bringing.
Let's dig!
Local leaders shoveled dirt, and President Biden dubbed Ohio part of
the Silicon Heartland.
That's because on Friday, Intel broke ground on a $20 billion computer chip factory in the state. It came after Congress passed the CHIPS Act, giving grants and tax credits to encourage semiconductor companies to build in America. Senator Rob Portman was one of the Republicans who helped get it across the finish line.
We begin to close America's competitiveness gap that has grown dangerously wide.
Lawmakers say the move will help grow the American economy, strengthen the independence of our supply chains, and improve our global competitiveness. Democrat Senator Sherrod Brown says it's a new chapter for the country.
The technology of the future won't just be developed in America. We're really good at that. We've done that for generations. It will be made in America.
Other semiconductor companies have announced plans for factories in states across the country, and President Biden says these investments are important victories for the country.
There is nothing, not a single thing beyond our capacity as a nation if we do it together as the United States of America.
Ohio is also in the middle of a really tight Senate race, so President Biden's visit has political significance as Democrats fight to keep control of Congress. In Washington, I'm Hannah Brand.
All right, Hannah, thank you for that. Well, joining us now to talk more about the new plant and its impact is NewsNation business contributor Lydia Moynihan. Lydia, great to have you with us. You know, President Biden says this new plant, it can serve as a model for the U.S. economy. So talk about the impact here, especially as we are dealing with these supply chain issues. Is this a smart move?
Absolutely. I mean, the coronavirus pandemic has showed that we are obviously a global economy, a global society where illnesses are global, but we cannot rely on global supply chains. There are just too many variables. And the fact that there's been a semiconductor chip shortage, America produces just 12% of semiconductor chips. That's been causing issues for us with trying to get cars, with trying to get microwaves, pretty much any technological device. And of course, initially when the COVID pandemic was in its infancy, we kind of thought, well, maybe these supply chain issues will be short-lived. But here we are almost 3 years later, and China is still implementing COVID lockdowns. There's still a war now raging in Ukraine. And so the notion that any of these sort of supply chain issues will end anytime soon seems to be really naive. And of course, for Biden, this is politically a smart move if he wants to run in 2024. He is going to have to lean into some of those Midwestern states, and it's a victory for him. He got Intel to invest $100 billion specifically into Ohio in the next 10 years. So it's really a two-pronged victory here. You know, one, we are going to be creating our own semiconductor chips, so we won't have to rely on foreign nations as much. And for Biden, it's a big political victory that he's calling it Ohio. It can't be labeled the Rust Belt anymore. And so, of course, he's appealing to those voters as well.
Well, you know, and Lydia, something you mentioned about the supply chain issues. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I have said the words supply chain issues in the past few years. And as you mentioned, cars, certainly highly impacted by the chip shortage. Has it changed the car industry, though?
Absolutely. I mean, there are basically 12 million cars that would be on the road in America today if we didn't have this supply chain issues with the chip shortage. Car manufacturers like General Motors have actually created cars and they don't have the chips. So all of those cars are just sitting vacant. And so, of course, the fact that we don't have as many cars on the road as we otherwise would means that the price of a car you're paying, whether it's used or new, has gone up pretty astronomically. The price of a new car is up almost 20% year over year. And so anytime you want to take an Uber or a cab, if you're in New York, or you're looking to purchase a new car, you're going to be paying a lot more money. The price of an average car now is $45,000.
Well, we can only hope that this helps in some way. All right, Lydia, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.